Passover. Jesus arrived at Bethany, where Lazarus lived, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. Here a dinner was given in Jesus' honor. Now when we go to Mark's Gospel, the dinner is actually at Simon the leper's house in Bethany. Here a dinner was given in Jesus' honor. Martha served, while Lazarus was among those reclining at the table with him. So they're all sitting back, relaxed, discussing this whole thing. And just imagine being at dinner with this man that was dead just the other day. And now he's healthy and they're all sitting at dinner together. Martha served, Lazarus reclining. Verse 3, Mary took about a pint of pure nard. That's about, I think, half a liter of pure nard, an expensive perfume. She poured it on Jesus' feet and wiped his feet with her hair. Interesting. And the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, he's always the last in the list of apostles. He's always the last one. And he, in John's Gospel, when they're at the Last Supper, Judas leaves the Last Supper in the dark. And it's so symbolic of the darkness that was over and had overtaken Judas here. Judas Iscariot, who was later to betray him, objected. Why wasn't this perfume sold and the money given to the poor? It was worth a year's wages. That tells you how valuable the perfume was. The perfume, let's just say a year's wages was $30,000. That's valuable perfume. Some big money. Right? I had to write it all down, get the numbers. A year's wages. So in Judas's mind is money. Money. He's obsessed with money. And eventually it destroys him completely. Which is interesting, and I know I'm just guessing at the amount, some big money, and 30 million, yeah. I mean, that's a lot. But anyway, he did not say this because he cared about the poor. Isn't that how we do, though? I mean, we talk about the poor are used for all kinds of things. All kinds of political issues, right? The poor are used. They're walked over. They're made fun of. They're taken advantage of in order to advance political ideas and those kind of things. And and even the church can be guilty of this. The poor are used for all kinds of things. So Judas Iscariot, we could have given this money to the poor. But is that really what he was thinking? But it wasn't because he cared about the poor. John said, one of his own, one who knew Judas as well as anybody, he said it wasn't because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. A thief. His heart was black, dark, sinful, obsessed with money. It was to completely destroy him. He was insane with money. It's not unlike people today. Many people are insane with money today. We feel like if we can't, how much money is enough money? It's always just a little more. Always just a little more. We can never be satisfied with it because money cannot do what only God can do in your life. And that's provide satisfaction. Only God can do that. Nothing, no one can provide satisfaction in your life. Only God can do that. Judas was obsessed with money. Please do not follow the way of Judas. It'll destroy you too. He did not say this because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. As keeper of the money bag, And John really helps us here to understand a lot about Judas. He used to help himself to what was put in it. Now the apostles, they had to travel everywhere. People donated to their ministries and they traveled by foot and they lived out under the stars sometimes, but then sometimes they had to stay in the inn or at the hospitality of friends or even strangers, and they had to pay money. They had to eat because it's a rather large group of disciples. So Judas was the treasurer of the group. The treasurer. So he had the pouch with all the money in it, and he kept his hand in the pouch, and he put it in his pocket. There's a difference. When you're handling money of someone else, or you're handling your own money, there's a difference in how you handle it. So he was taking what was theirs and making it his. John makes it very clear he's a thief. A thief. He used to help himself. Verse 7, "Leave her alone," Jesus replied. "It was intended that she should save this perfume for the day of my burial." Oh, so there's a whole nother, it's kind of revelation here. It's prophecy. Leave her alone. Why are you making fun of her? She's breaking this, and we'll see in John, this alabaster flask, very expensive container. And then she's pouring out this very expensive perfume. And what is it to them that she's doing this? That's hers. Leave her alone, Jesus says. There's a purpose behind what she's doing. It's for the day of my burial. We have a practice down south. And once a year, we all go to the graveyard. We call it decoration. We all go to the graveyard. We put fresh flowers out. Some graves are covered in flowers. Some graves are covered in weeds. That's how it is. Jesus is basically saying, give me my flowers now, because I'm going to be gone later. She should have saved this for the perfume for the day of my burial. She should save this perfume for the day of my burial. You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me. See, he's prophesying about his death, making it very clear that it's imminent. It's about to take place. And then, meanwhile, a large crowd of Jews found out that Jesus was there. And they came not only because of him, but also of Lazarus. They wanted to see Lazarus. I'd like to see him too, He just came out of the tomb. They wanted to see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. So the chief priests made plans to kill Lazarus as well. Let's just get him out of the way. For on account of him, many of the Jews were going over to Jesus and putting their faith in him. So not only they wanted to arrest and kill Jesus, now they want to kill Lazarus. What has Lazarus done? The poor guy already died one time. And he gets a second chance, and now they want to kill him for it. All he's doing is telling everybody what happened. That's all he was doing. But it was a threat to them. A threat. Taking away the attention, the control of the people. People were becoming followers of Jesus Christ as a result, that kind of thing. Okay, let's look at Mark 14. Mark 14. I'm kind of walking through the text first. Mark 14. And it picks up, let's see, verse 3. Because there's a little extra information here. Mark 14, verse 3. It's important for you to compare, especially in the Gospels, compare the stories. Mark 14, verse 3. While he was in Bethany, reclining at the table in the home of a man known as Simon the leper. So this is where they're having the party. You see the leper. The leper, and then there's Lazarus. And what kind of group is at this party, Wow. Those were the first disciples. They were, we use the old term, motley crew. Heavy metal band. No, not heavy metal. Yeah. Motley crew. They're a strange group of people. Just like you are. You're a strange group of people. If we are followers of Jesus, there really is nothing normal about us as far as this world goes. He's at the home of Simon the leper. A woman came with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume. See, here, this tells about the jar. In John's account, it tells about the perfume. You put it all together and it means $30,000, you know. Yeah, something mine, right? Made of pure nard. She broke the jar, poured the perfume on his head. Strange things happening at this party. Disciples are arguing about, about all this money wasted, and the place is smelling wonderful. The perfume has filled the whole room with this beautiful smell, because it's not just any kind of perfume. This is really expensive. Right? Shinsegae brand. Sensei, right? Sensei, right? Just saying. I like going there too. Some of those presents were saying indignantly to one another, "Why this waste of perfume? It could have been sold for more than a year's wages and the money given to the poor." And they rebuked her harshly. Now they're criticizing this poor woman for giving a gift to Jesus. Criticizing her. Interesting. And notice it's not just him, it's not just Judas, but Judas is talking it up with everybody else. So some of the disciples are listening to Judas too. Oh, we could have given that money to the poor. Maybe gone on a vacation too. Who knows? They rebuked her. You see how insidious this kind of complaining and greed, what it can do to people. It not only affected Judas and led to his demise, destruction, but it also affected the other disciples too. They were hearing what he was saying. Nothing like that ever happens today, though. Nothing like that ever happens in the church, does it? One person's upset, and they start talking to everybody else. Start complaining about this thing and that thing, and then before you know it, there's a little group. And that group is all upset about the same thing. They. It used to be him, or it used to be her, now it's them. And they. Because these kinds of things have a way of spreading all around and causing disunity. And so among those that should have been the closest to God, there was this kind of lack of harmony that was building up over what? Over an offering a woman wanted to give to Jesus. Think about that. She is unloading herself on Jesus Christ. She could have taken the money and gone and lived on an island the rest of her days. But instead, she brings it as an offering to Jesus Christ. What a woman this was. Sacrificing herself, her valuable, giving that as an act of worship to Jesus Christ. What an example for us today. And then, those that should have been spiritual are saying, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that." And they criticize her, try to make her feel guilty about her offering to Jesus. Wow. We have to be careful. Really, really careful. Because we don't know the motives of everyone. We don't know their hearts. I'm sure some of them were probably saying she's just trying to, make herself look good in front of Jesus by giving this offering. By offering this perfume. It may have been everything she had. Broken,